Is CM Punk turning heel? How does Tony Khan feel about Punk's WWE return? And will AJ Lee be joining him in WWE soon? CM Punk is back in WWE. Here's his first promo explained.
Support WrestleTalk!
The post-Survivor Series episode of Raw saw the unthinkable come true. Dixie Carter visited Nick Aldis and Cody Rhodes backstage. Women's Royal Rumble number 30 entrant confirmed. And also CM Punk got his first promo in a WWE ring in almost 10 years. I must admit, after feeling a little bit hollow when he made his return at Survivor Series, watching Punk make his entrance on Raw, it felt really good. God damn it, I'm so fickle. If anyone ever asks you how long do Ollie Davis's principles last, you can tell them, well, about 48 hours. Quick, get me Saudi Arabia on the phone. Hello, Saudi Arabia. Let's talk sports washing. Oh God, CM Punk's gonna wrestle on a Saudi Arabia show. Anyway, back to the promo. He came out with a huge smile to deafening CM Punk chants. Apart from this one sign on the hard cam that read, "Cry me a river," a reference to Jungle Boy mocking Punk in AEW, which caused the incident that got him fired over there. Punk delivered his opening line, "Looks like hell froze over." I guess WWE is hell in this situation. He continued on what, on first impressions, came off as a babyface promo. He referenced all the wrestling legends who've mentored him over his career, the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes telling him to speak the truth, or the wise man Paul Heyman who said he'd have to leave and come back to get what he really wants from this company, perhaps the WrestleMania main event he constantly lobbied for in the early 2010s. And he told us all that he's been feeling more like himself again since he returned at Survivor Series. CM Punk has changed. This is the truth. This is where I belong. I'm home. That's the amazing thing about Punk. So cult leader-like in his charisma, he can lie directly to your face without you realizing. Because the whole content of this promo, "I'm home, everyone loves me, it's been nothing but hugs with my WWE family backstage," was flipped on its head on the very last line of the broadcast. Off mic, but loud enough so the camera picked it up, Punk said, "I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to make money." That's after spending the whole segment saying everyone's his friend and he's here for us fans. It's an interesting choice of phrase too, as it has a very specific wrestling context, being a verbatim quote from Scott Hall. Making money, not friends, was the guiding principle of his 90s behind-the-scenes group, The Click. You know who else was in The Click? Current WWE head of creative, Triple H. Imagine, after a decade of shoot feuding, Triple H and CM Punk become a new two-man heel power trip. Corporate Machine Punk! This wasn't the only heel line Punk had. He also brought up his rival Blackhawks hockey team to the Nashville crowd, getting him booed. And earlier in the episode, Seth Rollins told the crowd to get their CM Punk chants out the way because he didn't want to spend any more time on that hypocrite than necessary. And in Punk's main event promo, he did that exact same hypocrite thing, saying he's home for us fans, but then revealing it's for the money. Seth reportedly started their kayfabe feud at Survivor Series, where he was filmed screaming at Punk after the show went off air. Punk himself seemingly referenced this in his promo, saying everybody in the locker room is happy to see him. Well, maybe not everybody, presumably setting up a feud with Seth over the World Consolation Weight Championship. He never mentioned AEW, but he did name drop his shoot wife AJ Lee to a huge pop, potentially teasing her WWE return too. Hopefully not for the Women's Royal Rumble match, because she'll just get overshadowed by Dixie. Fightful is reporting that the backstage reaction in WWE to Punk's return has been more muted than one might think. While some wrestlers have said they don't want to work with him, others are expecting to talk to WWE officials to get assurances about Punk and his role going forward. His former employer, AEW boss Tony Khan, was asked about Punk's return while promoting All In 2024 tickets going on sale, to which he replied, "Can't talk about that, nor do I think it's the time or the place. Not to dodge your question, it's just not something I can legally talk about." Fightful has reported, though, how he is feeling behind the scenes, claiming Khan was said to be more concerned about losing Shibata, who's had to return to Japan, than Punk's WWE return at Survivor Series. Presumably, his first reaction was the same as WWE's when Punk debuted in AEW. Well, He's their problem now. But AEW has problems of their own. AEW original QT Marshall, who was a vice president, manager of talent relationships behind the scenes, has revealed he has officially resigned because the company has changed a lot since 2019 and is heading in a different direction. QT is very close with Cody Rhodes, having run the Nightmare Family Training School where Jade Cargill was improperly trained. That's Triple H's words, not mine. Make sure to keep checking WrestleTalk.com for updates on these stories. And give us a little subscribe so you know when the next video's up.
You think I could put tassels in my hair? You think tassels in my hair will get me over? It's more than right. Oh, hi there. I'm Turbo Jack from the 80s, and I'm here today for WrestleTalk to say thank you to its wonderful pledgehammers on Patreon. The Posh Squash that loves the marsh, Josh Martin. The Machine Gun, Alexander Sir. The Roller Coaster, Robert Acosta. The Black Plague, Butch Russell. Champion Zero Fear, Hitman Soul. The Cleaner, Kenny Shah. The British Bulldog, Philip Boyd J. Smith Jr. He can last Sean far longer than you in the ring. Starbucks, Stephen Costa. And the Shield Maiden, the Zornies. You can go over to patreon.com/WrestleTalk to get your own Patreon shoutouts.
Thank you, Turbo Jack, and now it's time for my review of last night's episode of Monday Night Raw in about 5 minutes. This show began with Randy Orton being full-on old babyface Orton, high-fiving fans, being super energetic and thanking everyone for his return. He cut a pretty standard but good babyface promo, saying he has unfinished business with the Bloodline, and he has receipts for every single member. And when he says every single member, he means every single member. With a Jey Uso hanging around on Raw, that's pretty intriguing. Rhea Ripley interrupted though and said he shouldn't be worrying about the Bloodline. Judgment Day is the most dangerous force on Raw right now, and if it wasn't for him, Priest would be World Heavyweight Champ right now. He's made Judgment Day his enemy. Orton was then attacked by JD McDonough and Dominic Mysterio, and of course JD got RKO'd once again because that's what he brings to Judgment Day these days. This set up a Dominic Mysterio versus Randy Orton main event. Alpha Academy, the Creeds, and New Day were backstage, and they were joined by recording artists Jelly Roll and R-Truth, and they said some things and did some comedy. What came next was a tag team turmoil match, aka a gauntlet match, which started off with Alpha Academy being represented by Otis and Akira Tozawa against DIY, which DIY won by pinning Tozawa after a decent quick match. DIY then faced Indu Sher, who were rolled up quickly by Gargano. After that came DIY versus the Creeds, which was a very fun little affair with the Creeds putting away DIY, and thus began the next leg of the story. The Creeds faced New Day next and beat them after a great match, pulling out some impressive power spots and some great wrestling. And last up for the Creeds was Imperium. They had another very fun bout though, and despite an unfortunate slip for a botch that would have been a very impressive spot, it still carried its momentum and followed through to make the Creeds look great with the win at the end, making them the #1 contenders to the tag team titles. It was unfortunate for a lot of the match because I felt like they deserved a better crowd than this one, but they thankfully woke up towards the end. Also, pushing the Creeds gets a thumbs up from me. I think they're great. Backstage, Damian Priest is upset because he knows Ripley, Balor, and Dom have something to say to him. He knows he made himself the leader and it didn't go their way, so go on, spit it out already. But Ripley and Balor are shocked. They tell him that, look, yes, you were the leader and things didn't go our way, but it's okay, it's one loss, we're a family, no sweat, we'll move forward. But that's exactly what people who are secretly upset about the loss would say. I also loved a little moment at the start of this promo where Balor walked in and said, guys, I just got done watching the Creeds, and they're the real deal, we shouldn't underestimate them. It's small, but it's a very effective way to put them over even further when the champions take their next challenges seriously and like a threat. This was a very good segment. Cody Rhodes came out next and said that he won in War Games, which was his dad's match, and that meant a lot to him. But there's only one place he's going to go next, so he's going to be the first person to announce himself for the 2024 Royal Rumble match. I'm really glad they're getting the Rumble hype going so early. I'm a big fan of that. But then Cody was interrupted by the lights going out for it to be revealed that this whole time, Shinsuke Nakamura was talking about him. I'm sure that's what everyone wanted out of this. Shinsuke's video promo ended, and the real Shinsuke was in the ring, and he misted Cody to end the segment. It's a filler feud for Cody before the Rumble, and hopefully it'll be a good match, but I wish Shinsuke got into a feud where he could win for once. Bronson Reed faced Ivar next in a big meaty men match that ended with a double count out. Boo! The match itself was pretty decent, with Ivar missing a big moonsault and a nasty looking Death Valley driver into a barricade, but it really heated up after the match had finished, with Ivar using a chair, the two brawling into the crowd, throwing security guards at each other, and Ivar hitting a huge senton off a big crate onto Reed and security, and the crowd got really into it by the end. happened. I need a rematch with the two, and I think we're getting one. Also, if I was Luke in this situation, I'd say that there was a P.T. Williams sighting, so it's a 5 out of 5 show, but I'm not that shallow. There was a Jason Jordan sighting though, so it's a 5 out of 5 show. Next, they played a compilation of people reacting to CM Punk's return from all around the world, and hey, that's me! Pete Quinnell to WWE confirmed. The Judgment Day backstage are annoyed by R-Truth, who's managed to get sugar and cream everywhere in their clubhouse. Nia Jax beat Zoe Stark to keep Stark's momentum going after facing Rhea at the pay-per-view. Nice job, all. And backstage, Miz says he wants to face Gunther again, and Gunther said, lol, no. You fought well at Survivor Series, so you can claim to belong in that ring, just not in a ring with me. Don't do a rematch, please. Seth Rollins came out next and was drowned out by CM Punk chants, which he encouraged people to do, told them to get it all out of their system because he doesn't want to spend another ounce of energy on that hypocrite. So instead of spending time on someone that doesn't matter, why not talk about his World Heavyweight title? I'm hoping this is a nice little tease of something to come. Rollins says he spoke to Adam Pearce about his next challenger, but he's interrupted by Drew McIntyre before he can announce who it is. Drew says that Judgment Day had a plan to get him Jey Uso in a cage, and he didn't get that. They let him down. And in babyface style, he wanted to congratulate Rollins on the win and hope for a rematch for the belt. He needs to put Jey Uso on the back burner. Seth said he's absolutely earned a rematch. There's just someone who's earned one a little bit more. Jey Uso. Drew snaps and loses it, headbutting Seth and screaming off mic that he beat Jey 2 weeks ago. He knows he's ahead of him in the line. This is personal, which he's absolutely right about, by the way, and Jey comes out to stand tall. I love this battle with Drew's light and dark sides, and it's Jey Uso that always sends him over to the dark side. Sammy accosted Drew backstage, saying this isn't him, and yes, he's had disappointments in his career, but so has everyone. Every disappointment Drew has had, Sammy's had 10 times over, but he always picks himself up and dusts himself off and moves forward because he knows his end goal is the world title. Drew agrees, reverting to light side Drew, but then said he needs to build his way back to the title, and he'll start that next week with a match against Sammy. All great stuff. Piper Niven pretty much single-handedly retained the women's tag belts against Natalya and Tegan Nox next, which was fine. And then backstage, Randy Orton and Jey Uso make up. Oh. And I thought Randy said that the bloodline stuff. Oh. He said that as long as Jay's not in the bloodline, he's fine. Okay, I mean that's it makes sense, I guess. I was looking forward to the tension and the drama. Becky Lynch backstage says there's a couple of fights coming, one more pressing than the other, whatever that means. And we had our main event of Randy Orton versus Dominic Mysterio, where Orton overcame JD McDonough interference to win, hitting the RKO on Dom. This was a perfectly fine showcase match for Orton and gave him a feel-good win on his Raw return. And then we had CM Punk cut his promo to go off the air, which Ollie did a full dissection of earlier in the video. I personally found it quite anticlimactic, but I'll talk about that more on the Raw Review podcast later today on the WrestleTalk podcast channel, so subscribe over there. I really enjoyed this episode of Raw. Not everything was perfect, but I'm liking the direction of a lot of stories and got a lot out of the tag team turmoil match, which took up a fair chunk of the show. This was a 4 out of 5 show. Now check out the newest episode of 3 Count, where Ollie and Luke review every Survivor Series ever in 3 words or less.